I hope you're able to see my slides. Professor
Yes,
Mary?
ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Just for 5 minutes, introductory part, I will turn on recording.
Sure, yeah, thank you. I'll let you know about that. Yeah. Thanks a lot, everyone, for being here today. And ARM is also very excited to be collaborating with you all and working in this much upcoming field. So when I looked at the program schedule for the past 4 days, I think many of you have got by now got exposed to deploying IoT systems and the challenges and the designs, the application space. So my colleague Anurag and myself, we looked at the schedule and we thought, how about going into the basics or the heart of the IoT systems for a change that could give you a more a unique and a different perspective to carry on with your IoT development. So we assume that at least some folks in this audience are entirely new to this domain, are probably new to processor architecture or IoT development. So it's mainly targeted at folks who are getting started, who are new to this domain. So we are going to go down to the very basics and give you an introduction as to how at the CPU level, companies such as ours do a lot of optimizations to enable IoT applications, high performance, low power, and efficient and reliable systems. You must have seen a lot of the higher level developments and applications. So we want to take you on a tour underneath the hood and show you how at the processor level we do a lot of optimizations for the IoTs. So for those of you who are advanced level users who have done a bit of programming with these systems, some of this information could be redundant for you, but I still hope that you will have. I'm sorry, could everybody please mute themselves?
Okay. Participant, please mute yourself.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I hope they'll mute soon. Yeah, so I was saying for those of you who are advanced users, I hope there'll still be some couple of useful points for you to take away. And for those of you who are new to this domain, I hope this will encourage you to explore further. We'll also leave you with resources and contact info to take this forward and collaborate more with us. Um, so as I said, the goal of the session is to understand the basic concepts in the CPU design so that you can optimize your IoT system development. At first look, it might feel like we don't need to go down into such details. You can even code at a higher level, but always knowing what's at the heart of your system, what are the features or capabilities of the processor, it will help you optimize your design and probably differentiate your product from others. So with that intention, I'll walk you through some of the hardware basics. Specifically, what are the microarchitecture features that ARM provides, which make IoT applications possible. We look at one of the very basic ARM cores, the Cortex M4, which is probably more than a decade old now. I still chose that because it's a very basic core, which is sufficient for this example purpose. And we'll focus on one of the many architecture features that are very critical for IoT application. That is the interrupt handling, the optimizations that ARM provides at the hardware level to handle interrupts or exceptions. You'll see how important that is for IoT applications. So we'll walk through some of these basics just to get you motivated to explore more. And then my colleague Anurag will walk you through a project that he has himself developed. Again, it's going to be a kind of a basic project just to get you started, just to show you how it's possible to start, from ground up and all the ARM resources ecosystem that's available to you to do more in this domain. So that's the basic goal of this session. Hope to add some value and hope to be of use to you this morning. So before we go into the details, I want to step aside for a few minutes and give you an overview of the company and what's in it for you, what is ARM doing, and what are the resources that you can use. ARM as a company is into semiconductor IP business. So unlike some of the other semiconductor companies, we don't make our own chips. We don't, some of the boards that you'll be working with or devices that you'll be working with, they're all based off of ARM IP, but not directly manufactured by ARM. For example, in your project developments, you could be coming across the Raspberry Pi or boards from NXP or ST and so on. So they are all ARM licensees who take our IP and then build on top of it. ARM offers the flexibility to innovate and collaborates with the partners. So with this partnership-based model, we have this unique collaborative ecosystem, which is like a win-win for everyone. And currently there's about 1,900 licenses and growing every year. And about 200 billion ARM-based chips have been shipped to date. And the revenue of the company is like 200 billion chips have been shipped to date, and it's growing, and the revenue is in about excess of $20 billion. So ARM started around the late 80s, early 90s as a joint venture between Apple, VLSI, and Acorn. And we initially got into the smartphone, mobile phone market, which turned out to be a blessing because are there other questions?
Any queries, please ask. We will share 2 feedback form. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. That is one feedback form for AM, and another is our usual feedback form. So you have to fill both the feedback form. One that is corresponding to AM, and other is our FTP normal feedback. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, please do give us the feedback. It will take you no more than 1 or 2 minutes of your time, and this will help us fine tune our session for next time. So really appreciate your inputs on that. And as I said, we will distribute the slides with the resources and tools and contact info. So definitely explore them and reach out to us.
Can you share some inputs regarding this edge computing, ma'am or sir?
It's kind of an open-ended question. So what we mean by edge computing is, as Anurag said, there are sensors and the core deployed on the farm, and then there is the backend or the server from where you can control things. So what happens in case of edge computing is we put more and more capability into the on-field or on-premise device, which can which can take all the inputs from these various sensors and make its own decisions, and it can keep learning. It can get trained with machine learning based models to take its own decisions. And then once in a while, when there is connectivity and there is no bandwidth issues or so, it can transfer the data back to the server and similarly receive updates from the server. So what we mean by when we say edge computing, we are focusing on improving the capabilities at the edge, which is where some of the ARM features that we looked at today, they come in handy. If the edge can take a decision very quickly with very low latency and act on the sensor data, and as Anurag showed, the business logic can be updated from the servers once in a while, and the rest of the time, the action rules are taken by the processor on the field. So making the edge processor more capable and able to do more computation by itself, that saves a lot of bandwidth going between the edge and the cloud. So that's what we mean when we talk about edge computing. Did that help? Or did you have any further questions to that?
Okay.
Anurag, you want to add anything?
Yeah. The best example of the edge computing is Alexa and Google Home. So they recognize your voice in an offline mode and then send whatever you say to the server.
Okay, so what about the powering up this edge computing resources? Normally, wireless sensor network monitoring is battery powered now. So when we push more computing at the edge, what about the power requirement?
Right. So that's where these optimizations come into picture. We briefly saw a unit called the Wake Up Interrupt Controller, which is basically a unit monitoring for anything interesting happening. So if there's no action to take at present, no input data coming in, it can power down all the non-essential components, and it can just keep looking for any data arriving, any interrupt arriving, and then wake up the core at that point. So this saves a lot of power in the standby mode. And then during the working, we save power. Like we care about every single clock cycle, as you saw in some of those slides, and we save power by optimizing the instruction execution, by bringing in more parallel processing, doing something more efficiently. For example, in some of the recent microcontroller implementations, we have the capability to handle SIMD, or single instruction multiple data. So all of these, while the features are increasing, we also optimize them, cut off cycles wherever we can, and reduce the runtime power as well. So making low power applications that are highly responsive, longer lasting, that are reliable and secure, these are all the challenges and opportunities today.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
So do explore some of the online courses that we highlighted. They'll take you precisely through such examples and case studies. And they are, as I mentioned, they're generic to computer architecture.
Okay, actually, I have requested for book and I have got that. So we will explain such facilities future also, ma'am. Online courses and all.
Awesome. Thank you.
If you have any other, some of you have unmuted. Do you have any doubts? So I think the participants doesn't have any doubts. So we had a nice session from the staff engineers from ARM. We want to thank Ashni Sarathi and Anurag Sharma for taking this session. In fact, you have showed a small demo also, which the participants can also do at their end. And we want to thank Apurva Verma, the regional head of ARM Education Program, and Ms. Surya Gunashekaran, who was our contact point. They were in fact readily available with us for discussions, and we want to thank both of them, Apurva Verma and Surya Gunashekaran, both of them staff of the ARM Education Program, for their cooperation with us. And in fact, they have also shared, in fact, for the participants, there's an ARM University program which is available, which you can contact these resource persons, and which they will share with you. They have a good collection of slide and textbooks, which will be helpful for the participants who are handling sessions on embedded systems, real-time systems, etc. So with that, we want to end this session. Thank you.
One query is there. Please let me interfere. Miss Aradhana Negi wrote in chat box. Please comment on Intel versus ARM processors.
So we don't want to compare and contrast different architectures in this session. This is not the right forum. The goal of this session was to expose you to ARM architecture and its capabilities.
Hello.
Excuse me.
Yeah, if Mr. Gopinath, if you could mute yourself.
Sorry. Participants, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, Aradhana, to continue with your query, I don't intend to compare architectures in this session. This is just to give you information about the ARM architecture and possibilities. So when you design your system, you can make an educated decision as to which architecture suits your purpose. For each purpose, there's going to be some trade-offs to make. Trade-offs such as cost versus efficiency, complexity, and so on. So whatever suits that particular purpose, if you have all the information required for that, you can make an educated, informed decision. So that was the purpose of this session. So I don't wish to comment on any specific. In fact, I didn't even compare across ARM architecture itself, comparing the M4 with the different ARM core. The idea was not to compare and make this a marketing slide. It's just to introduce you to the possibility so you can make your own trade-offs.
I also got 2 more queries in my chat box. Elekia, can you unmute and ask the questions? Or I will read it. Ma'am, these questions, the questions is, one is how much memory capacity it hold. And also another question, is there any specific DB used in this application? I think that it is about database.
So related to the memory, obviously that depends on which core you choose, which implementation you choose. For the specific M4 example that we saw, it can address up to 0.5 GB of memory. And if you add on the memory protection unit, which I briefly mentioned, you can further constrain what part of that memory is addressable by a secure application versus a non-secure application, and so on. So the addressable memory depends on the core that you choose, on the implementation that you choose. Regarding the second question, the database, I'm not very sure what they're asking here.
I think they are asking about the application that we saw now. I think the question is directed to Anurag Sharma, sir.
Yeah.
So currently I was not using any database on the edge, but the beauty of Raspberry Pi is that you can use majorly available databases on Raspberry Pi itself. So that means you can store some data on the edge, and then you can transfer that whenever your connection is available. Or if you want to use less edge computing, then you can just keep on sending data as you receive it, and you can store it on clouds as well.
No. Okay. Yes, I think that answers Lekia's doubt. Thank you.
I request Ms. Ashwini and Mr. Anurag, just turn on your video and we can have a snack.
Okay.
Thank you. Nice to see. Anurag.
Give me some time. Choose virtual
Yes.
web.
So thank you once again, all the team, all the AMP team. Hope in future also we should have some collaboration. Thank you, Anurag. Thank you, Ashwini.
Yeah, thanks a lot once again for reaching out to us, and it's been a wonderful opportunity for us. And as I said, we really look forward to collaborating with you all further. Please do explore the resources and